Sometimes what feels like love in parenting is actually control wearing a softer name. I'm Dr. Naomi, and this is From the Doctor's Chair, where clinical insight meets intentional living. There is a very tender place in parenting where love and fear begin to look the same. And if we are honest, most of us do not recognize the difference right away. Because when you have spent years nurturing, protecting, and guiding, and when you have poured yourself into raising a child, it makes sense that when the stakes feel higher, you would hold tighter. That instinct is not wrong, it's human. But here's what I've seen, both in my clinical work as a pediatrician and my work as a family empowerment coach. What begins as protection can quietly become control. And control often disguises itself as, I just want what's best for you. I'm trying to help you avoid mistakes. I've lived long enough to know how this ends. And while all of that may be true, it doesn't always mean that control is what your child needs, because developmentally, there is a shift that happens. In early childhood, your role is to direct and protect. But as your child moves into adolescence and young adulthood, your role must begin to evolve into guidance and partnership. And if that shift doesn't happen, what you will often see is not obedience, but resistance. Not connection, but distance. Not because your child doesn't love you, but because they are trying to become themselves. And autonomy, the ability to make decisions, to explore identity, to even make mistakes, is a critical part of healthy development. Without it, confidence doesn't fully form, decision-making doesn't fully develop, and the parent-child relationship can become strained under the weight of control. Now, let me be clear. Releasing control doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you stop guiding. It does mean you begin to ask yourself a different question. Am I leading from fear or am I leading from trust? Because fear says, if I don't intervene, something will go wrong. But trust says, I have poured into my child, and now I must allow that to take root. And that is one of the most sacred and difficult transitions in parenting, because it requires you to shift from managing their life to maintaining your relationship. And those are not always the same. So if you are a parent who is learning how to loosen your grip while still holding on to your child with love, here are 3 things I want you to remember. First, notice when your guidance is being driven by fear rather than trust. Awareness is where change begins. Second, ask yourself in real time, is this a moment that requires my direction or my restraint? And third, remember that love expands and creates room for growth, while control, even when well-intentioned, limits it. If this perspective supported you today, I invite you to share it with another parent and subscribe to my channel so we can continue this conversation here each Monday from the doctor's chair.